Okay, we are live. All right, let's check the audio. Yesterday we had an issue with the audio when the audio kind of died on me. All right, so if you're watching right now, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know where you're watching from. Country, city. And don't forget that you can leave a comment to engage in the conversation. Today we have a bunch of stories to cover. We're going to be looking at lies that the Democrats have been telling over the last few hours. It seems like they just can't help themselves. Every single time you turn around, there's a new Democrat lie that they send out a memo and they say, hey, this looks like a great lie to tell about the Trump administration. And the sad thing is that there are a lot of people out there who have received second-hand hate of Donald Trump. There are people out there who hate Donald Trump and they don't even know why they hate Donald Trump. They just don't like the way he looks. They don't like the way he smiles. They don't like his jokes. They don't like anything about him. And then by extension, they hate people who support Donald Trump. And it's like, why do you hate Donald Trump? And many of them don't have an answer. They don't know. They've only been told to hate Donald Trump, and that's why they hate Donald Trump. All right, now we're going to start with this. She sounds like an immigrant. I love it when other immigrants who entered into the country legally speak up about the insanity of what's going on in the United States. It is crazy that citizens of the country hate the country and non-citizens are the ones out there trying to fight to defend the United States. All right, so don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. If you like what you're hearing and you support it, like the video, share the video. Okay, don't just walk on by. Help us spread the word and engage. While we're playing the footage, doing our reviews, please consider leaving a comment. Let's know your thoughts on the stories, and I engage the comment section. So we're going to pause the video. We're going to talk to you. Hi, Canarican, welcome back. We're going to talk, we're going to engage, we're going to share our ideas. Now let me know. Now I decided to add a touch to the live stream today. There's some classical music playing in the background. So let me know if it's too loud and I'll turn it down. Let me know if you want me to turn it up. Okay, but I just wanted to add that bit of character to the live stream so that it kind of lets us have an ambience to this entire experience. Not a problem. This is middle of the work day. Okay, so it's fine. You can be in and out. It's fine. I appreciate you joining every single time we go live. And I love to see you in the comment section. Okay, so we're gonna start with this immigrant, okay, and her take on the left's obsession with hating their own country. All right, so let's go.
You don't have to love Trump. You don't even have to like him. The issue isn't Trump anymore. It is that the left hates him more than they love America. They would rather watch the country fall apart than admit he ever did anything right. They cheer when things go wrong, when prices rise, when chaos fills the streets, just so they can say, see, we told you, Trump was bad. That's not patriotism. That is bitterness, and it is dangerous. Because evil isn't just doing wrong. Evil is hoping your own nation collapses just to prove a political point. America doesn't fall because of one man. It falls because too many people would rather see it fail than see their opponent succeed. You don't have to love Trump. But if you hate him more than you love this country, then maybe the problem isn't him.
True. There are people, we like to have these debates live during the live stream. So if you're watching, let's debate. Why is it that every policy that Donald Trump implements, the Democrats are dead set against every single thing he does? He could cure cancer and they'll say, no. We need to keep our cancer. He's being racist against cancer. All right. So there's a core issue she's missing. So what's the core issue that she's missing? I don't live in the United States, and I will own up to it. And some people don't like the fact that someone who doesn't live in the United States is talking about the United States. All right. Look, guys, there's the internet. All right. So we get to see everything. All right. Please reduce the volume of the music. All right. It's nice. Okay. So I will drop the volume. Thank you for letting me know that it needs to be dropped. All right. Thank you. All right. I think this should be fair enough in the background, but let me know if this is good. Okay. So we'll just leave it in the background. Tell me if this is good, and then we'll leave it at this level going forward. I love classical music. It helps you think. It's clean. It's not filled with all the booty shaking and all the depravity that a lot of music today has. It's just clean, elegant, skillful music that takes you back to the times, simpler times. To us, maybe they were simple, but to the people who were running things, not so simple. All right. And there are classical music pieces that aren't very good. They tend to have that darkness inside of them. So there is that. Okay, so what are the core issues that she's missing? A vibrant democracy must have checks and balances. And that's very true. I'm all for checks and balances. I want checks and balances. I want accountability. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's everything wrong with something good being done for the American people, and at every turn, the Democrats look for something to say no about. Now, I think that's the game. That's the political game, to attack everything your opponent does so that they don't stay perpetually in office. I think it's a game. Lots of immigrants come from a dictatorship background, so they don't get democracy in action with checks and balances. No. Well, that's granted. But then again, checks and balances. The picture of checks and balances is, if something is going wrong with the way the party in power is running things. No, I'm not into booty shaking music. I'm not. I never was. There was one song that almost got me into the booty shaking music. I was in I think 10th or 11th grade. And there was this song by Too Short. If you remember Too Short in the 90s, Knocking Boots. That song was meant to be my gateway drug into booty shaking music. I played it for weeks. It was the only song I listened to. And then one day, I sat down and I said, okay, let's analyze this song. I'm a very analytical person. I said, let me analyze this song. What is this song about? And I began to break it down. And I said, Knocking Boots. And I said, hang on. This song is talking about having sex, indiscriminate sex. I'm not for that. I liked the song. I liked the rap. I liked Too Short. But it didn't make sense to me. So I was like, crap. I have to let go of Too Short. And then there was OPP by Naughty by Nature. My best friend loved OPP. And he would come to my house and he'd be singing the song and I'm like, what does it mean? Oh, it means other people's property. And then later on I found out it was the other thing and I was like, oh, come on. That was the 90s. That was when music began to bother me. I couldn't enjoy music anymore just for the fact that it was good music. I had to start analyzing what the songs meant. They ruined music for me. And so classical music is just clean melody, compositions. Okay. So now I have a second video lined up. Ronald Reagan. It's historical. But I'm wondering if this is the right time for a historical analysis of some things he said in 1975 and how some of those things are playing out today. We might not finish up the entire video. We might stop at some point, and then maybe at another time we'll continue. I think that might be what we're going to do, just so we can kind of have a clean, smooth live stream. I enjoy historical videos because it's a tether to let us know where we came from and possibly tell us where we're going if we continue down this trajectory. So let's watch a bit of the interview by Ronald Reagan. We're just going to go over it because when we say Democrats lie, and they lie a lot. When we say Democrats lie and they lie a lot, it's important to qualify what we're saying because it's not just saying, oh, every Democrat lies. There are Democrats who don't tell lies. We're talking about specific Democrats who at every turn look for a way to take something that is going on in the zeitgeist or with the Republican Party and try to skew it as much as possible so that the voting base just simply opposes what they're doing. I think the best way for the Democrats to operate, and it's a suggestion, I'm not a politician, I might be wrong, but who knows, I like fair play. And sometimes fair play might not work for politics because if you play fair, you may never win another election. Maybe that's what's going on with the Democrat Party. They know if they cooperate with the Republicans will succeed and they will never win another election. Maybe that's what's going on. Okay, so let me know your thoughts in the chat. Hey, Tone, well done. Beethoven's Silence. I'm going to be loading up with classical music. Here's some issues with Trump. He gets pulled sideways by other people's agenda. In his first term, he was completely ambushed, especially by the Republicans, Mitch McConnell. Yeah, but I think this time around, he's trying to stop that from happening. And somehow he might be overcorrecting. Somehow he may be overcorrecting. So I'm walking on landmines right now because for someone who is in support of Trump's policies, it's usually hard to say, okay, I love how he's pushing hard on these policies, but is it too hard? But when you look at the opposite side and you see how the Democrats are pushing lies, it's like, okay, maybe he has to. Right now, Rubio is leading Trump into Venezuela. We want his American agenda, not these crazy adventures around the world. The excuse about Venezuela is the fentanyl being pushed into the United States through Venezuela. The border countries aren't stopping the smuggling of these drugs into the United States. The border is secure, yes, but there are other ports of entry within the United States that they're exploiting. And if they're using these super speedboats to transport these drugs into the States, and they're not stopping, I don't know. If you were President Trump, if you were President Trump, how would you stop the situation with Venezuela? How would you handle the situation with Venezuela? Let me know in the chat or in the comment section. So let's watch this video quickly. We'll take a segment of it. We're not going to watch the whole thing. All right, no, he has to push. Trump is the out of the deal. we have some Trump fans in the chat. Amazing. So, but let's share ideas. If you were to handle the situation with Venezuela, how would you handle this situation? It's important. I'm curious because there are people who feel like Canary King feels we don't have to go that hard against Venezuela. We need to pay attention to ourselves. Come on now. Drug activity in the US is not centered around Venezuela. No, it's not. But the dangerous drug fentanyl is what Trump is targeting because it's responsible for thousands and thousands of deaths in the United States. I think that's why that's a key issue. And I think that's the core of his quarrel with Mexico and with Canada. Letting Chinese fentanyl pass through their borders unchecked, that they're not doing enough to stop it. So if the United States is going to spend billions of dollars to secure the border against fentanyl, when these two countries aren't doing enough on their side, that's where the tariffs come in. So I think it's unfair to not look at both sides. When I say both sides, why is he pushing these tariffs on these countries, and what are they doing to trigger these tariffs, or what are they not doing to keep the tariffs from happening? So, I mean, that's just my thought. So let's know in the chat what you think, what you would do if you were in Trump's position about fentanyl, Venezuela, all of this, everything surrounding it. So let's quickly listen to this. I'm going to hit one high spot in the interview. There's something he said about several things. We'll take one high spot and then we'll go over to the main story, because the main story is sort of connected to yesterday's long conversation. Yesterday we had a long conversation around Trump's construction, the ballroom. And I was fact-checked, and I fact-checked myself. I fact-checked the audience several times, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. And if you can't tell, if you're joining this live stream for the first time and all we're doing is having a still on the screen and lots of chat going on, is because this is a conversation. I'm having a conversation with my audience. And if you just came to be entertained, that's fine. Be entertained with the conversation. We're going to be listening to Ronald Reagan. This interview was recorded in 1975, and this was after he stepped down as the governor of California. And let's listen to a few things that he had to say, and we'll not listen to the whole thing. We'll take a certain talking point and then we'll talk about it, and then go ahead and then move on to the next story. All right. Okay, so let me just go through the chat. I missed some conversations there. Rubio is a Cuban and obsessed with his people. Okay. I thought he was American. Or is it that his family is originally from Cuba? China is a problem for North America. Yes. Going after Rubio's Cuban agenda is nuts. What is his Cuban agenda? We need more clarity or visibility on what you think Marco Rubio's Cuban agenda is. I don't want people to die, but you have to protect lives. When people are told, don't bring these drugs into my country, they are killing my people. And then the people you're asking not to do it continue to figure out new ways. They use speedboats. When the speedboats don't work, they buy submarines. Behind the oil industry, I think human trafficking and then narcotics or drugs are the highest grossing types of, I don't want to call it business, but it's a business models in the world. So they can afford to buy a submarine, and they've been caught doing that as well. All right, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video. Please share the video. Please like the video. Even if you're a fan, okay, don't forget to like the video. It sends a signal to let YouTube know, hey, this live stream is happening, is popping. Leave some emojis, leave some activity in the chat, just to get more people to get the signal that this is some fun. That this live stream is lots of fun. Research it. Our drug problem is not Venezuela. Research it. All right. Let's dive into this.
Nice to see you.
Nice to be here, John. And nice of you to have me here after, a little more than 2 months unemployment.
That's right. How does it feel to be, well, you're not really unemployed now because I know you're doing a syndicated column and for many news, around 120 papers, I think, and a radio show and on the lecture tour. But how does it feel to be, I don't know if they use the word temporarily out of politics or not, but we'll get into that later. How does it feel to be away from Sacramento?
Well, it's doing what I'm doing. I wanted to for a long time. It's very exciting. And there's mixed emotions when you step down. There's always things that you had left undone that you'd like to have done. But then all of a sudden the curtain's pulled and that chapter's over and...
somebody else takes over?
Yeah.
Did you have any major disappointments? What would you have liked to have done, or your biggest disappointment, and maybe your biggest highlight in office as you look back on it?
Well, I'll start with the biggest highlight. First of all, was proving that some things I'd long believed as a citizen would work, that you could introduce common sense in government, and after the first traumatic shock, you kind of made some of it work. We came into quite a mess, and at the end of 8 years, government in the United States, federal, state, and local, has been growing for 20 years in size about 2.5 times as fast as the increase in population, except for the last 8 years in California.
All right, so he said something here that we're going to touch on. The government has been increasing in size about 2.5 times every year. I think that's what he said. All right, please correct me if I'm wrong. It's been growing in size. And when we're looking at Trump's efforts to cut back on waste, fraud, and abuse, right, it is a part of an effort to stop the bloat that is happening in government. All right, now, Cuba had a reputation. We're not letting go of this drug conversation. Cuba had a revolution, and the folks that lost power came to Miami, and they have their own agenda, which revolves around getting power back. I agree. And if you trace back a lot of these families, I'm finding out that a lot of families who are interested in power tend to be families that were in power where they came from. So I saw a video a while back, and maybe we can fact check it, that claimed that Ilhan Omar came from, who's from Somalia, was from a family that was the ruling class, the socialist ruling class of Somalia before a revolution drove them out and they came to the United States. So I'm going to fact check that, but I heard that, and it's like, why is it that these people are so attracted to power? Same for Zoran Mamdani. We're going to watch his father today and hear where this radical ideology came from. Rubio is part of that group that came from Central America. Amazing. So was Marco Rubio's father, okay, should we do what we do? Let's do some research. All right. So I'm going to should I use Grok or Doc AI? Okay, let's do Doc AI. All right. Was Marco Rubio's family influential before the Cuban Revolution? Canary King, my man. Okay, Marco Rubio's family had a degree of influence before the Cuban Revolution. Rubio's parents fled Cuba after the revolution in 1959. They were part of the middle class. His father worked as a bartender. Okay, now, is this influence in Cuba? Prior to the revolution, the Rubio family, like many others, belonged to a social and economic class that experienced some level of stability, success, and pre-revolutionary Cuba although they were not among the elite. So this is a bit, it's not very clear. They weren't influential, let's say they were not among the elite, but this answer says they had a degree of influence. So it's a weird thing to see. If they were part of the elite, then it would be very easy to say the reason why they're trying to push these things is because they were part of the elite and they want to go get power back. So I'm not sure about that. So while I'm here, was Ilhan Omar's family. Okay, so let me do that too since I'm here, because I said something on this live stream and I don't want to spread misinformation. Was Ilhan Omar's family influential before the Somalian revolution? Let's look at that. Okay, Ilhan's family was not considered influential before the Somalian revolution. Family status: father belonged to middle class background in Somalia. Her father was a teacher. Impact: overthrow of Said Barre's regime, which forced Omar. So the claim that I saw online is not true. All right. Okay, so no, Marco Rubio's family is part of a community in Miami obsessed with a certain agenda. Okay, all right. So let's push on to the next video. Let's push on to the next video. All right. So yesterday we got into it in the chat about the ballroom. Search Miami Cuban Americans aims and goals. Okay. This live stream is tailored to serve the live chat. If you want to be part of this conversation, Miami Cuban, if you want to be part of this conversation, jump into the live chat. All right, and contribute. Now, while we're doing this, okay, if you don't know how to fact check or how to do research, I think watching this is a good education on how to fact check everything and think for yourself. All right, it's not enough to be told think for yourself. Someone has to show you how to think for yourself. Whenever I do, and I'm not speaking in a condescending way, so please don't take it that way. When I do homework with my son, I try to walk him through how to think through these problems and get the solutions. And sometimes it's a painful process, and sometimes it's frustrating for him and for me, but it is something that needs to be done in order to allow him get independence in solving his own problems. And I think showing you how this is done is also a way to help you learn how to do that. Okay, Miami Cuban Americans have a variety of aims and goals shaped by their historical. Okay, first aim: political advocacy, strengthening democracy in Cuba, supporting policies that promote the liberation of Cuba from its communist regime. Cultural preservation, maintaining Cuban cultural identity through music. Okay, so essentially it's political, cultural, economic development, supporting businesses owned by Cuban Americans. That's not a bad thing. Promoting investment in Cuba as the political landscape evolves. Anyway, the agenda, essentially what we're talking about is the political, so let's not dive too deep into that. And granted, they will have those areas of focus. It's not a bad thing. All right, so let's jump into this bit. We had a debate about the ballroom, whether the entire East Wing was destroyed, not destroyed. It wasn't a major talking point, but because of something I said on my video, it came up as a talking point about whether it was a section of the East Wing that was destroyed or demolished, or the entire thing. We settled on the results coming from Doc AI that it was the whole thing, and I said, okay, fine. So what's the problem? All right, and then there were other questions that came up. Now, today in my feed, a bunch of Democrats decided they're going to jump on the bandwagon of telling a lie. Okay, and we're going to listen to this and hear the lie being debunked. So let's listen.
They are choosing not to fund these programs. They are choosing to prioritize. And when the White House press secretary said the top priority is the ballroom, we could not disagree more.
All right, so Tim Walz is claiming that the White House press secretary says that the Trump administration's top priority is the ballroom. This is lie number one. Here's Jasmine Crockett repeating the same lie.
Do you believe this will be the week that Congress comes to an agreement here?
I have no idea. I mean, you started off talking about the fact that the president is in Japan. The president has time to do everything but what he needs to focus on. In fact, we heard the press secretary say that his main priority is the ballroom that no one asked for, the ballroom that requires him to destroy historic pieces of the White House. And so it doesn't seem like he's interested.
And that context of the comment from Caroline Leavitt, she was asked if the president was working on any other renovations when it came to the White House, and she was saying his focus was the ballroom. But to your point about what the president said.
All right.
Do you believe this?
Sorry. So this is the same lie. And today you're going to watch the news and you're going to hear this lie filter through the airwaves. And if the anchors don't fact check the people telling the lies will go out to the audience. And Caitlin Collins, I think she's tired of being called fake news in the White House press pool. So she fact checks Jasmine Crockett when she says this. So here's a debate that happened on Piers Morgan Uncensored. And another Democrat attempted to, you have to pick where you tell these lies. If you tell a lie on MSNBC, it's very unlikely that you get fact checked. If you come on Piers Morgan Uncensored, where you have conservatives who know what's going on, and you try to tell a lie and skim over it and try to get away from what you just did, you're not going to succeed at telling that lie. You're going to be called out. And here's the lie being told, but it gets debunked immediately. And then watch for the reaction of the guy who told the lie. He begins to squirm and try to wriggle his way out of that position, but it's too late. He already opened his mouth, he told the lie, and you're going to hear the actual fact of the matter.
Access to Medicaid. We've got 24 million Americans who are going to see their ACA premiums double, triple, or quadruple. We've got inflation rising. We've got no manufacturing renaissance that was promised. We've got jobs completely flat. We've got wages flat. And all the while, Trump is only focused on surrounding himself with gold and opulence and wealth. And so it puts on full display what his priorities are in office.
I mean, he has got the hostages released in Gaza. So when you say it's his priority, why can a president of the United States not have multiple things that he's doing at the same time? The ballroom, I'm sure, is not to him a massive priority compared to trying to find peace around the world. But surely he can do two things at once. Can't he?
Caroline Leavitt came out just days ago and said that the ballroom is his priority. And again, the fact is that Donald Trump did not run solely on releasing the hostages. He had plenty of promises that he didn't come.
Why are these people addicted to lying? Why are they addicted? So let's look at this picture. If the Democrats were the opposing party and all they did was pick out on actual issues that happen, which are grave issues for the American people, that's a good thing. That's what the checks and balances are there for. Those are checks and balances. Those are the real checks and balances. But if all they do is try to nitpick at things that aren't even real issues, and then they try to blow them up into being issues by telling lies, that's where I have a problem with the Democrats. It's not that they have an opposition to someone whose policies I support. if they pick up on things that are not being done properly, I don't have a problem with that. I don't. But when you nitpick on things and then you create lies, it's a problem. Let me know in the chat if I'm simply being delusional, but I don't think that an opposition has to run on lies.
Where are the Epstein files? Those weren't released.
Right, what you just said is a total lie. I'll
Yep.
let you get away with some of the
That
other
wasn't
exaggerations, but what you just said about Caroline Leavitt is a total lie. The question was, is Trump looking at restoring or renovating any other aspects of the White House? And her response was, no, the ballroom is his priority. Not his priority in the country.
This, Michael.
His priority is reopening the government that the Democrats shut down.
Do you know why the government? Do you know why the government is shut down? Do you know why the Democrats?
Because Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer shut it down because Obamacare doesn't work and they want to give health care to illegals. That's why.
First of all, that's a complete lie. There is not a dime of federal funding that goes toward undocumented immigrants. First of all. Second of all,
we're going to see a video that debunks that. I mean, like, when we say Democrats lie, it's always great to kind of bring the receipts. We're going to look at how SNAP benefits have been flooding into illegal immigrants' hands. And it's only been unveiled since the Democrats decided to shut down the government over it.
Democrats relent on this issue. That means healthcare premiums for those 24 million Americans who rely on ACA coverage are going to double, triple, or quadruple. So are you in favor?
I agree that Obamacare has not worked out very well, and I wish the Democrats had done a better job when they passed.
So answer the question that I asked.
Trump offered a clean, continuing resolution, and they shut it down. And they shut it down, by the way, this gets back to your earlier point, because the Democrats are on the wrong side of virtually every issue in the country, other than healthcare, which they're barely holding on to, and environmental.
But healthcare is the issue that the government is shut down over right now.
They have to shut the government down to change the momentum.
Healthcare is why the government is shut down right now.
So you can see how Michael Knowles gave credit to the Democrats about the fact that the one issue that seems to make sense is healthcare. I don't see Democrats, people who vote left or leftists, giving credit to Republicans when the Republicans do something that makes sense, especially when most of their policies make sense, because that, like I said earlier, that would confirm that their party isn't winning over the people or winning on policies. Why wouldn't the Democrats focus on coming up with real policies that help and not just fighting policies that work because they are the token opposition party? They are the opposition and they have to oppose. Let's not oppose just for the sake of opposing. I don't like that picture. It's not who I am, and maybe that's why I will never get into politics. But let's not be oppositional because we have to be. Let's talk about the issues. Let's bring up our concerns when things are not being done right. And then if there's a loophole in the opposing parties' execution of their policies, then you can take advantage of that. Don't create lies. That's where I have a problem. They create lies. Now, we've talked about the lies about the ballroom. It's been debunked several times, and it continues. Yeah, scary face. It continues over into the next story that we're going to be looking at. Now, this story is New York. All right. Now, let's see. Zohran Mamdani is looking like he's going to win the mayoral elections. He looks like it. Everyone is saying he looks like it. The entirety of the Democrat Party is backing him. But some stuff is coming out, and I think this is a report that just came out a couple of hours back or a few hours back. And let's listen to what they have to say about the connections that Zohran Mamdani's campaign has with George Soros.
George Soros funneled $37 million to support Democrat socialist Zohran Mamdani's campaign and marginalize Andrew Cuomo. According to those recently released records, Soros, through his Open Society Foundation, funneled the money in recent years to the Working Families Party and at least 9 other left-wing organizations that supported Mamdani's successful campaign in the New York Democrat mayoral primary. The WFP, a far-left socialist-friendly group, received $23.7 million from Soros through its nonprofit fundraising arm, then used that money to help Mamdani.
If why does it matter that George Soros is contributing heavily to a candidate? Okay, why does it matter? Do you have an opinion on this? Should we be asking questions about the George Soros connection to Zoran Mamdani? Should we? We know that George Soros has been identified as a huge donor to most of the riots that have taken place in the United States, the protests that have taken place in Trump's first term, and even the recent ones that have happened. The No Kings protest, I'm sure his fingerprints are all over that one. How come he's doing all of that to oppose conservative values that the Republican Party are pushing? How come he's doing all of that? We do know that he's a globalist. He wants open borders. He wants American exceptionalism to be stamped out. He funds DAs in blue cities, and those DAs in turn are soft on crime, increasing the crime rates in those cities. Why is it such a problem that George Soros is involved in the Mamdani campaign? Because if he's such a bad player, you can't trust Zoran Mamdani. Now, this citizen is going to say a few things, and we'll hear what he has to say. He's a New York citizen, and according to him, he's 60 years old, so he's within our demographic, and he's explaining to voters why voting for Zoran Mamdani is dangerous, especially when you're looking at some of the policies he's been preaching. I played one of his videos yesterday about his promise to give free everything to everyone. And no one is asking, where's the money coming from? Where's all this money coming from? If every New Yorker gets free transportation, free housing, you're going to open government-run grocery stores, where's all the money coming from? No one is doing the math. Everyone is enjoying the fact that he's promising these things. And that's one of the things that socialists do. They promise the craziest things. The masses love it. They swallow it because they don't want to work. They think that being wealthy, they think the picture that socialists sell of wealthy people is that wealthy people just sit around, open their mouths, and have slaves drop grapes into their mouths. That's all wealthy people do. That they got wealthy by stealing money from the regular guy. That's the picture that socialists and communists sell. And so the regular person on the street assumes that money just materializes and that the wealthy simply have learned how to steal the money out of thin air, out of the hands of the regular guy, and that's why they are wealthy, and that's why they hate the rich. That's why they keep screaming, tax the rich, tax the rich, billionaire donors and everything. Meanwhile, that's not true. So he's going to give us some things to think about. Early voting has started in New York, by the way, and everyone is thinking that Zoran will win, but he's putting out a plea to say, look, hey, this is dangerous, and let's hear what he has to say.
I just want to reach out to you guys once more with the same old rhetoric. Yeah, we have a few days till an election in New York City, and it's important that you go out there and vote, man. New York City, please understand what's happening here. To some of you young people especially, this is not what you think it is. It's all smoke and mirrors. This guy that's coming in, this young radical, will shape your lives in a very terrible way for the next 4 years, possibly 8 years. It's important you understand because experience is the best teacher. I'm 60 years old. I've been living in this city my entire life, and I've seen it come and I've seen them go, and this is going to be one of the worst. And to some of you people, especially you young liberals, idealistically speaking, thinking about, changing the world, that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is you're going to suffer more than you are already. His proposals are weak. He cannot support them, not to mention he's going to contribute to crime. Another thing is for the folks out there that sit on their asses all day on social service programs, welfare, Section 8, and everything else, you can't hide. This is going to impact you even more. Why? Because they are going to blame the Trump administration while not giving you the resources that they're supposed to give you once these resources are removed. They're just going to blame up. And it's going to get worse and worse for you. Why? Because they don't care about you. They need someone in 2028 to politicize, and that's going to be you. Section 8 is never going to be awarded to the people that it used to be awarded to. It's going to be awarded to foreigners that are coming in.
Look at that.
See, public housing, subsidized housing, right? And you have rent control, and all these initiatives are not for you or for me. They're for these people that are slowly creeping into the city of New York. Wake up. Put down the drugs. Take off the fucking bonnets, and you men, snap out that shit you're in and contribute and get your asses out to vote. Yes? I'm being tough and I'm being hard because in the long run, when my bones are dust, you'll think to yourself, I remember that guy was mentioning that shit on some clip, and now look how we're living. I can't believe we didn't listen. So, remember, if you don't vote, you don't count. Okay? It's important you understand that. So we expect to see you on November at the ballot box. I don't care where you come from, where you hail from, how much money you have, right? How poor you are, whether you're on public assistance, whether you're not. Get your asses out there, man. We need you. And again, this is J.A. Perez on my platform with One Love, New York City. Hey, why the long face? Dispelling the delusion. Hit me up on my comments. Love you.
All right, so what do you think of what he just said? Because here's the thing. Zoran Mamdani reminds me of politicians in Nigeria. They all come out, promise everything they can in order to secure your vote. And once they're in office, they pretend they never said those things. Or they claim that they tried to make these things happen, but they give one excuse or the other. There was actually one public officer who claimed that he couldn't get the job done because of demons. He says that it was a demonic problem. I kid you not. So, Zoran Mamdani is promising all of these free benefits. But how is he going to fulfill these free benefits? He intends to tax the rich. He intends to not attack physically, but his policies are going to be indiscriminate, will discriminate between white people, white middle class people, and brown and black people, so that the policies would essentially squeeze resources from the white middle class in order to provide resources for every black and brown person. And of course, that includes illegal immigrants. That's his plan. And of course, these people are loving it. And they want to see it happen. They think that there's when you spend a decade telling people that there's this, that you're being discriminated against and that white people are privileged, it's almost like you're telling them that every white person has a pot of gold handed to them the day that they are born. And that's not true. But that's the picture that a lot of black and brown people have. They've been told that they are less than white people, and that every time you see a white person, they have privilege. What privilege do they have? There are some white people that are poorer than a lot of black and brown people. There are white people who are ignorant, who don't have as much education and training and advantage as a lot of black and brown people. What are you talking about? But that's what has been sold to the black and brown population, and it's playing out in the way the polls are scoring in New York. Now, Zoran Mamdani, himself a brown person, said this in 2023 to let you know that this person who is about to become the mayor of New York has very dark designs about, first of all, the Jewish population, because he said this about Jews in 2023. Watch.
The importance for me of international solidarity is that it takes me out of the American political landscape and reminds me just how tame some of the things are that I'm actually calling for. And it reminds me of the necessity of grounding ourselves in the struggles as opposed to the fights around the struggles. For anyone to care about these issues, we have to make them hyperlocal. We have to make clear that when the boot of the NYPD is on your neck, it's been laced by the IDF. We are in a country where...
Okay, listen to this. When the boots of the NYPD are on your neck, it's been placed there, I think that's what he said, by the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces. Let's listen to that again.
It's been laced by the IDF. We are in a country where those connections abound, especially in New York City. You have so many opportunities to make clear the ways in which that struggle over there is tied to capital's interest over here.
So, in other words, this is during the Israeli-Hamas conflict. And he's trying to say that anything that you see happening here is directly connected to Israel and the IDF, to Jews. How can he say stuff like that as an American citizen with a straight face? If you talk to any member of the NYPD, I don't think any of them will tell you that they were trained or inspired or influenced by the IDF. There's always this boogeyman that no one sees, that the left tries to sell you. Someone behind the curtain pulling the strings and making things happen. And there's always this enemy that they want you to fear and to fight against. And when you eventually get up to the top, you realize that there was no enemy. There was no enemy. They just created it in order to get you radicalized and get you voting for them. And once they have power, they get rid of you. That's the way they roll. So the question is, how do we get a Zoran Mamdani? How do we get a Zoran Mamdani? Here's his father and what his father has to say about America. Have a listen.
America is the genesis of what we call settler colonialism. And the American model was exported all around the world. Abraham Lincoln generalized the solution of reservations. They herded American Indians into separate territories. For the Nazis, this was the inspiration. Hitler realized two things. One, that genocide was doable. It is possible to do genocide. That's what Hitler realized.
So in other words, in Zoran Mamdani's father's thinking, America is evil. America exported the genocide, according to Mamdani's Papa Mamdani. These people who came from other countries and hate America should not be allowed anywhere near political power. Because essentially what they do is that they turn the countries they go to the countries they fled from. For them, it's all about power. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal to get power. Whatever they can do to get power, they will do. So you're asking, how come he's a communist in a capitalist country? It is because his family is communist. His family hates America. You can hear the origins of Zoran's communist ideas. One of the teachings of the Soviet Union was that America was evil because it was a communist nightmare. Everything that the communists said would never work, worked in America. They said that capitalism was evil, but people were thriving in America, debunking everything that they claimed. Why was it that communists kept a close watch on their people? Because when people travel to other Western countries and see freedom and see how communism has failed them, they don't want those people telling other communists how communism has failed. Communism failed. It will continue to fail. Socialism failed. It will continue to fail. But yet you have a communist sneak into, well, he didn't sneak into, so I strike that out. He came into the United States, entered into politics. He's nice looking. He speaks well. He is a minority, so Democrats are fawning over their minority candidates. No matter what they do or say, they are minority, they are untouchable. All of this started years ago and is continuing today, where you have a Democrat candidate who will say the things that Zoran has said and no one is raising an eyebrow to ask a question. Where will all that money come from? You're going to give free healthcare. Where is it coming from? Now, Zoran Mamdani during the campaign decided that he was going to pull what most Democrats do. And what do? They lie. He told a lie because you have to be the victim. With these guys, you have to be the victim. You have to tell how you were poor and you didn't have food during Christmas, and now you rose up and you understand how the regular guy feels and you want to help them. And then in his bid to appeal to the minority groups and to shame the white population into voting for him, he begins to talk about Islamophobia after 9/11 and how his aunt was afraid to use the subway after 9/11. Now that claim has since been debunked. It was now realized, we now discovered that the aunt that he was referring to didn't live in the United States during that period. So how could she have entered into the subway when she didn't even live in the United States? Key question. And so when the pushback came, trust Zoran Mamdani, he steps out and he begins to finesse the lie. Now, it's not his aunt anymore, it's a distant cousin.
Yes, I was speaking about my aunt. I was speaking about Zerafui, my father's cousin, who sadly passed away a few years ago. And for the take,
do you notice how the people that they tell these lies about are conveniently nowhere to be found to corroborate those stories? They are dead or you can't find them. They tell these stories like it's easy for that story to be confirmed when you have the person standing beside you to say, look, this is my experience. When Trump was running his campaign and he was bringing up these ladies who had gone through certain challenges or people who had gone through certain challenges, it verified the stories. But for Democrats like Kamala Harris, all of the people that she mentioned during the campaign, none of them seemed to exist or none of them were alive. Of course, Candace Owens did a series exposing that. Now Zoran is taking the same playbook because that's what these people do. That's what communists do. They reinvent themselves. They tell you a nice story that makes you sympathetic with them, and then they start using those stories to gin up votes. Zoran Mamdani lied, he got caught, and now it's not his aunt, it's his father's second cousin, which in other words a distant cousin to him, and now she's dead. There's no way to find out. It's just crazy. All right, now keep the comments coming in the chat. I want to finish up this story and then I'll read the chat. All right, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, please. Engage in the chat. Let's have a conversation around these stories. Why am I talking about Zoran Mamdani? Because this playbook where lies are the currency that the Democrats trade in, it's important to take note of it, because it is always going to feature in every Democrat campaign until the party changes its policies fundamentally, until it changes who it panders to fundamentally. But after 200 years of Democrats being the exact same party, 200 years, I don't think that's ever going to happen. They are the same party that supported the KKK, all right, and then they decided to rebrand themselves to become the party of equity and social justice, but they still have those racist tendencies inside of them. They still do have them. They tried to make it appear like the Republican Party was the party that supported the KKK. Not true. All right. So let's finish up the story about Zoran. Now here's Zoran on ABC.
The city home.
On Friday, you became emotional talking about your aunt who, after 9/11, felt uncomfortable
here's where he told the lie.
riding the subway wearing her hijab. To that, Vice President J.D. Vance said, according to Zoran, the real victim of 9/11 was his auntie who got some allegedly bad looks. Your reaction to that?
It is sadly unsurprising, but still shocking to see the vice president of this country try and make a cheap joke about Islamophobia, when what New Yorkers want is a vision of a city that can come.
All right, so let me talk. Let me just say my thoughts on this story here, and then we'll move on. Zoran Mamdani told a story about an aunt who went into the subway after 9/11, got some looks, and she suddenly became a victim. How many years later? 24 years later. 24 years later, her aunt is a victim. Look at the scope of what happened, because when you have Zoran Mamdani taking, sides with foreigners and people who don't believe the same way most Americans believe, and then trying to play the victim, listen to what he's saying. After 9/11, after the biggest attack on American soil that took over 1,000 lives, and it was eventually identified that it was Islamic extremists who carried out the attack. That was who was blamed for the attack. And I think they also took responsibility for the attack. Why wouldn't anyone look suspiciously at someone who dresses like the sect that claimed responsibility for the attack? How is that Islamophobic? How is it Islamophobic when people who engage in that religion claimed responsibility for attacking Americans on American soil, and historically have been known to carry out terrorist attacks everywhere else in the world, or in other countries in the world? Not everywhere else, but in other countries in the world. Why is that Islamophobia? I'm not going to say that, because it's easy to get misunderstood when I say that. I was about to say something, but I'm not going to say that. It's common sense, and people are people. People get concerned, especially when it comes to safety. If there is a disproportionate number of people who engage in violence or terrorism, and someone dresses like those people tend to pull up their guards. How is that Islamophobia? That argument is old. I would ask that people stop bending the knee to that insanity. It is stupid to bring up. Anyone who brings up Islamophobia, I would say don't vote for them, because they are playing on a trope that right now we know is relying on victimhood, is relying on shaming the voting population, and that person cannot be trusted. That's my take as an immigrant. I don't care. Look, the people who come into the comments section want to claim that I am ignorant. There's a comment, and I'm going to share it during the comment section. There's a commenter that claimed I was racist against black people. Like, you can't make this up. Someone said I was racist against black people. When all insults fail, I'm now racist against black people. For what? For saying what? For telling the truth? Give me a break. All right, so we're done with the Zoran story. We won't be covering the Zoran story now. I'm going to go into the chat. I have several comments in the chat. I'm going to go in chat now. If you're watching, please jump into the chat. Leave a comment on any part of the story that may have resonated with you, even if you like the music playing in the background. Let me know what you think of the story, the music, my take on these stories, and let me know your thoughts. Let's have a decent conversation here. Here's what Trump advocated initially. 1. China's unfair relationship with North America. 2. Rebuild the infrastructure. 3. Rebuild industrial manufacturing base. I don't see 4, but I see 5. Rebalancing the crazy gender confusion. Yes, he ran on all those things. He ran on those things, and I think he's fulfilling the promise that he made. I think he's fulfilling the promise he made when he ran on those things. The sad thing is, in order to fulfill some of those promises, I think, and this is just me, and let me know if you think I'm wrong. I think in a bid to fulfill all of those promises, some of those actions involved him stepping outside of the perceived America First position by dealing with foreign countries a certain way, intervening in several wars outside of the United States. Maybe there's a through line or a connecting tissue to those countries. And let me say, did he end wars? Yes. But do I think that the wars were ended because of an altruistic motive? Not entirely. I don't think so. I think for America to exert certain force or influence in certain foreign conflicts, there's a benefit to the United States of America or a benefit to the politician who inserts themselves into that space. That's a thought. The Pakistan-India war was a global issue because if they both decided to engage their nuclear arsenal, they satisfy their anger, but they release nuclear particulates into the atmosphere. And they get carried around the world. Some of it would reach different countries, and Trump did mention that he was also concerned that some of it would get to the United States. So him stopping the war had some benefit to the United States. We don't want nuclear particulates in the air, and we start dealing with diseases and mutations that we don't want to see ever happen. That's one. Maybe there's a business aspect to it where India is meant to serve as a hedge to China's dominance in manufacturing for the whole world. If India is caught up in a war, everyone goes to China. I'm thinking through this process with you because that's how people process these ideas. Not Trump started a war. Trump stopped a war. Oh, there's something wrong with it because he's involved. No, think through all of the options. Wait, what? What did I say that you didn't like? What did I say that you didn't like? Okay, because I've said quite a number of things. There are things that could have played into the reason why he got involved in ending these foreign wars. So we can think through those scenarios, we can debate them, but there's always a reason. And like I said, the reason isn't altruistic. He's not being a nice guy. There's something in it for the United States or for him. I'll be honest, for him. So, or for the people who are lobbying to get involved in those conflicts. All right, so let's listen to this. Now, we're talking about SNAP benefits. The government shutdown has gone on for over 20 days. It is looking like the longest government shutdown that they've ever had. And already the Democrats are slinging mud, claiming that the Republicans don't want to end the lockdown, and they are giving the different reasons. Now, I love it when minorities speak common sense. The Democrats are claiming that Republicans don't want health care to continue for Americans. Meanwhile, they leave out the inconvenient fact that the one big beautiful bill had the work requirements, which was meant to take care of any excess or any shortfall in healthcare, because anyone who can work should go out there and work. Then they would not be on the taxpayer's dime for healthcare. But if they did receive it and were able to work for at least 20 hours a week, they should go ahead and work for 20 hours a week and show proof that they're working. No more bums or hobos on welfare or Medicaid. That was the point of the one big beautiful bill. The Democrats jumped in front of the cameras to say he's ripping away healthcare from millions of Americans. Think for yourself, guys. Is it true? Do your research. You'll find out that it is not true. They are oversimplifying a very nuanced conversation. And then on top of it, they said they wanted to put back over $1 trillion into circulation and claim that it was good for the American people. And when you hear what Speaker Johnson is going to say soon about what they are asking for, it'll wake you up. Look, every outrage is not good outrage. All right. I like good outrage. I don't like lies. Now, here is a black person telling people who are on welfare and who've been on SNAP benefits and who've been crying about the government taking away the SNAP benefits, telling them to go back to work.
I'm just gonna say it, and I don't care who get mad. Should no grown ass able-bodied people be freaking out about no food stamps? If you got 2 legs, 2 arms, you can get up and talk on the phone. You can get up and take your behind to work. I'm talking to able-bodied.
Yeah, so
I'm just gonna say it, and I don't care.
So there are able-bodied people who are on food stamps and SNAP benefits. Yesterday, while I was watching Tim Pool on Tim Pool IRL, on Timcast IRL, he said that a public servant said that he had never seen a slim person on food stamps. And it's like, okay, hold on. Let's test this. And this is someone on food stamps. Now, this is an American citizen. Does she look like she needs assistance with food? Because most of these people won't work, but they take up most of the funding, filling up their grocery carts. They fill up their grocery carts more than people who pay taxes and go to work. Every month they are funded to the gills. They buy food, they buy all kinds of things for their families. Those people who are not on food stamps and on SNAP benefits don't fill up their shopping carts as much as these people do. And here she is complaining about food stamps expiring in November.
Employee of the school district, I only get paid once a month. By the time I get my bills paid, I have nothing left to pay for food and other basic needs. If it wasn't for SNAP benefits, I wouldn't be able to feed my children nor myself.
People in Nigeria who are struggling to eat don't look like this. Those of us from third world countries see this and we're like, there's something wrong with this picture. If I know that there's someone who might watch this, maybe you're watching now, maybe you're going to watch in a few days or weeks or years, and you're saying this guy is ableist or this guy is discriminating against fat people. I'm telling you, it's called biology. If you eat a certain way, you add weight a certain way. If you're starving, your body doesn't spontaneously generate fat. People that say that it's a medical condition, send them into a fast, a compulsory fast, and let's see how that medical condition makes them add weight. Food is converted into fat. Excess food is converted into fat. That's how it works. So if you're saying that you're hungry and you can't pay your bills and you're depending on food stamps, to be honest, there's something wrong with that picture. I'm just going to say it. Now, are there people who work for the government who don't get paid enough and they need assistance? Yes. But, a big but, maybe you need to learn how to budget. I'm just saying, maybe you need to learn how to budget. If people are within a certain salary bracket, the salary bracket, at least for minimum wage within that space, is meant to match how much it costs for that person to live within that particular part of the city or state. That's how it works. So if your salary is not paying your bills, it means that someone isn't budgeting properly. If you don't earn enough and you're living in a part that should pay enough, then take it up with your employer, because they are not obeying the labor laws of that city or of the region. That's my opinion. You might say you're oversimplifying it. Yes, I am, because we don't have enough time to go into the nuances of this. But what I'll tell you is, like in my house, I walk around regularly making sure that the lights that are on in certain rooms are turned off when no one is in those rooms. And I constantly talk to my kids to switch off the lights in rooms where they are not present. Why? Budgeting. I'm trying to save on power. My youngest, the toddler, loves to turn on the tap. At least he used to. His favorite pastime was to go into the guest washroom, turn on the tap in the sink, and run it and play with water, for a long time. And then I had to tell them, look, you need to stop that because it's going to run up our water bills. You track these things, and yes, it may not be much, but it helps you to control your costs. If there are things that you do, you buy pizza, you eat out, go on a budget. Really simple. Okay. I've been on this tirade for long enough. Next video, we're going to, let's see. Sorry about that. Mouse is overzealous. Democrats are saying families with lots of kids aren't eating. Is the Republicans' fault? Well, let's recall that this is a Democrat shutdown. Let's just remind us all of that. They keep saying if the Republicans wanted to end the shutdown, they could end it.
food stamps, meaning that there are 42 million people in this country that need food stamps on a weekly basis. And we're saying people deliberately instead of Americans, because most of the people that are on food stamps aren't even from this country. 45% of Afghanistan immigrants are on food stamps, 42% of Somali immigrants, 34% of every immigrant from Iraq, 23% of Haitians, 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps, meaning that most of the people getting food stamps from the U.S. government and the U.S. taxpayer are not even Americans. Think about that. And we didn't know about any of this before the government shutdown started, but thanks to Democrats, we can confirm tonight that millions of Joe Biden illegal aliens, people who crossed the border when Joe was president, are now collecting food stamps from a program funded by hardworking American taxpayers.
Republicans. How has the shutdown seemed to have affected their political standing?
Yeah, you might think, given that the Republicans are in charge of both the House and the Senate, that a government shutdown might actually hurt the Republican brand. But in fact, it hasn't. If anything, it's been helped a little bit. Take a look here, the shift in net popularity versus pre-shutdown. When we're looking at the Republican Party overall, that brand actually up 2 points. That's within the margin of error, but clearly it hasn't dropped. Come over to this side of the screen. Look at the net approval ratings for Republicans in Congress. It's actually up 5 points since pre-shutdown. So what seeing here is the Republican brand in Congress has actually improved somewhat compared to where we were pre-shutdown, despite the fact that Republicans control. And that's the math that John Thune and Mike Johnson are looking at is, well, hey, why should we give, and electorally speaking, when our brand has actually improved a little bit?
Now, we say their position is getting better. With whom?
Yeah, okay, with whom? So I think it's two groups that it's so important to keep an eye on. All right, changing the Republican Congress's net approval rating versus pre-shutdown. It's rallying the base for sure. Look at this, the net approval rating up 12 points versus pre-shutdown. But it's not just with the base. It's also with the middle of the electorate. Look at this, among independents. It's up 8 points as well. So we've got a situation here where Republicans with the shutdown are actually rallying their base, but it's also something that's not hurting them with the folks in the middle. If anything, it's helping them with folks in the middle. And this is the type of math that if you're Republicans, you like to see, right? Because something could rally the base but alienate those in the middle, or something could rally those in the middle but alienate the base. But the truth is, we're not seeing that. What we're seeing is the Republican brand has actually gotten better among independents, and it's also gotten better among Republicans as well, that Republican brand when it comes to those in Congress. So again, what's the electoral reason that Republicans would give in at this point?
And Democrats.
We brought you a little visual aid here to just remind everybody what the simple facts are. 4 simple facts here. The Democrats are required to open the government. They keep saying Republicans are in charge of government. We aren't, not in the Senate. 60 votes control the Senate, not a bare majority. And so point number 1, Democrat votes are required to open the government. Point number 2, they refuse to do it. They have now voted 12 times to keep the government closed. And they'll have another chance today or tomorrow, maybe multiple times this week, and we'll see what they do. Now, the third point is very important because they've been trying to confuse the American people. They've tried to say this is a fight about health care or this or that or any other thing, and it's very simple. They put this on paper. They made this their demand in writing in the record of the Senate, and it has not changed. These are just 4 subpoints there under fact number 3. But there's many more. But among the things they're demanding, this is what the Democrats in the Senate are demanding to reopen the government. They want to give $200 billion in health benefits to illegal aliens and non-citizens, paid for by U.S. taxpayers. That is in their proposal. They want billions in wasteful programs to be returned to foreign countries. So we stopped these things. They want to turn it all back on. They're demanding that we do all that to get the government open for hardworking Americans again. They want to give $500 million to left-leaning news organizations, and they want to cut $50 billion from rural hospitals. We will not do those things, and they know that very well. Which leads us to point number 4. The Democrats have now openly admitted, and you all had to cover it last week, that they're using the pain of the American people as their leverage. That was the number 2 ranked Democrat in the House, the Democrat, the minority whip, who said that, acknowledged it in an interview, that this is leverage. And Chuck Schumer himself boasted that every day of the shutdown gets better for us. That's his now infamous quote that he wishes he had not said out loud. But you know what they're doing and why. Why are they demanding these things? Why is point number 3 so essential to them? Why would they do this? Because it's unprecedented, as we've noticed, and reminded you all, they voted for CRs every time it was possible in their lives, as recently as March of this year. but they're doing it to appease their far-left Marxist base. That's the headline. That's why. That's why we're all in this mess. That's why the American people are suffering pain, because the Democrats are more afraid of the Marxist in their base than they are of hardworking Americans. See, they've made an evaluation that they have to appease the Marxist base, that they're so concerned that they'll lose their jobs if they don't appease the far left in their party. And so they made the calculation that it's worth it to them. Every day gets better for us. We'll use the pain as leverage. For what? To prove to the far left base that they won't give in, that they'll fight Trump and fight the Republicans. What are they fighting? It's a clean CR. It's the same level of funding that they have voted for as recently as earlier this year. They are Biden-level policies and spending. This is not some Republican wish list. We don't have any of our priorities in this at all. It's the Democrats' own product. But they have decided to flip the script this time because they were getting too much heat from the far left.
Him wrestle with this, and I watched a couple of videos where he's pushing back on some of these ideas about the resurrection. He's like, you know, how do you know he really came back to life? And it's just interesting to watch someone like him, who does have millions and millions of people listening to him, process all this out loud with everybody who's coming along for the podcast, Alex.
Absolutely. And I think it's exciting. I think Joe's one of the smartest guys that we have in our country. And I think he is waking up to the most important truth of them all. And Martha, there's something that I've had problems with over the last couple of years is I hear the media say Christian nationalism is dangerous. There's nothing dangerous about Christians who love their nation. What's truly dangerous, Martha, are the godless globalists, those who believe in nothing except for open borders, gender insanity, policies that hurt and destroy the working class, and want you to worship government over God. Those are the people who are truly dangerous to our country, and I think Joe's waking up to the fact, and so are millions and millions of Americans who are returning to church and giving their life to Christ.
Well, it's inspiring to see what's happening. Thank you very much, Alex. It's great to have you with us today. Always good to see you.
Thank you, Martha. God bless you.
You too. Thank you, Alex.
All right. So we're seeing a resurgence of a consciousness, a Christian consciousness in the zeitgeist. I'm happy about it. Not because I'm this, far right activist who wants Christians to rule over everything and stomp out every other religion. No, I want a healthy, safe community for my family to live in, and it has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that Christian societies provide the safest communities in any country. Christian societies are more open, more welcoming. They're more peaceful. So we have that going for us. So let's not play games. That's why I want more Christian influence in the public space. So if I say I'm happy about it, it is not because I'm trying to overrun or overrule other people that come from other religions. No, it's simply a fact that to have a safer community, yes. But why would leftists say that it is dangerous? Why would leftists say we don't want it? It's dangerous to have a Christian nationalist ideology. Why is it? It's because Christian ideologies oppose the insanity of the left. They oppose the lack of common sense that the left pushes. The existence of Christians in any space shows out the hypocrisy of the left. So I'm happy about that. All right. Let's begin to land this plane. There's one more lie that I want to deal with, and that is the lie, the Medicaid lie. They kept saying that, Medicaid is doing all these wonders. All right, I'll do this and then I'll read from the comment section and then we'll just land the plane. All right, if you have any questions, comments, please don't forget to put it in the chat or in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Let me know your best part of this live stream. I want to know what to keep doing, okay, so that I can make the show more engaging for you. Do you want more chat, less stories, a 50-50 blend? Do you like the classical music in the background? Even if you don't like it, I think I'll keep it, because I am not, to start with, this music is not copyright covered, so I can do this. I like the music. I like classical music. Do you like it as well? Let me know in the comments or in the chat. And don't forget to support the channel. Please consider becoming a member of the channel if you haven't become a member yet. Support us with a super chat or with a super thank. It helps out a whole lot. There's a donation link pinned on YouTube. Please consider supporting us financially with a donation that way, or through the super thank or super chat. YouTube takes 30% of whatever you send us. All right, like whether it's in the membership or in the super thank or super chat category, they take 30% of anything you send us. I think it's actually 60% in some cases. So please consider supporting us any way you can, because it helps us keep the lights on, and it will help with making sure that I have the resources to do more research, better research, improve production, and the call-in system is up and running. But the problem is, in order to set it up, I need more time to do that before the show starts. And usually I spend a lot of time preparing the content for the show. So with supporting the channel financially, maybe I can either buy more time by hiring someone or figure something out, a tool that I can buy that can help me make all of this work seamlessly. So I'm just putting it out there. So let's listen to this before we jump into the comment section.
Do y'all remember when the Democrats said that the Affordable Care Act was going to make healthcare affordable? Yeah, well, about that. Let's break this down Barney style because economics is hard. The ACA did not make anything cheaper. What it did is it made insurance mandatory and told companies that they had to cover more stuff for more people, whether they needed it or not. And when you add coverage, prices go up, not down. That is simple math. But then they realized, people can't afford these new prices. So what do? They created subsidies. What are subsidies? Taxpayer money to help pay the bill. So say your plan is $800 a month. The government helps with $400. Well, guess what? It's still an $800 plan. You just didn't see the other half of that come out of your pocket. This is not girl math. It does not make it cheaper. It just hides the real price tag and shifts the bill to the taxpayers. And that missing $400 goes straight to the insurance companies. It's like welfare for billion-dollar corporations. And now the Democrats in the Senate are holding up the government over another $1.5 trillion to extend those same subsidies that were always meant to expire this year, by the way. They're not out there fighting for your doctor visits to get cheaper. They're out there fighting for their donors' profit margins. So no, subsidizing the ACA did not make healthcare affordable. It just made insurance companies richer while the taxpayers got the bill. So if you're mad that you're not going to be getting your SNAP benefits because the government is still shut down, maybe pick up the phone and call your Democratic senator.
Yep. So that is essentially what tends to happen. That essentially is what's going on. They claim that Medicaid is making health insurance cheaper, but what it does is it actually makes it more expensive. And essentially, it has bloated the cost of healthcare because now you have billion-dollar health insurance businesses that run on this model to keep things going a certain way. And and nothing ever goes cheaper once it begins to trend in this direction. All right. So yes, Medicaid and Medicare is essentially a welfare scheme for the billionaire donors of the guess who? The Democrat Party. Right, so time to jump into the comment section. We will handle several comments today. We're not going to be taking too long in the comment section. And let me know your thoughts on the stories while we do the comment section. Here's the wise individual who wanted to own me in the comment section. So I'll start with his first comment. His first comment says, the man who acts racist 1% of the time is just as racist as the man who acts racist 100% of the time. Mr. T acts racist most of the time. Africans who have recently come to America can never understand what it's like being a real African American with a long personal family history of American oppression against black people. This guy has gotten a degree in victimhood. Does the man in this video even live in America? It hurts my heart. Oh, Elizabeth, I'm coming for you. I don't live in America. Look, you guys are just amazing when you write stuff like this. It hurts my heart seeing people like this showing support for the most evil tyrant in U.S. political history. You guys don't even know what a tyrant is. You don't know what a tyrant is. Let me tell you who a tyrant is. Okay, I know he's not watching. A tyrant is someone who sends a bomb to a journalist sitting at his breakfast table, having breakfast on a Sunday morning with his family, and he sends a package, a letter, a parcel to this guy. He opens it at his breakfast table where his wife and his kids are. It blows up, killing him. And you know what? They allowed every Nigerian see the pictures of his blown up body in the newspapers the following day. I saw it. How old was I? I must have been 8 or 9 years old. I was heading out to elementary school, and the papers were everywhere. I saw this picture. It has never left me. That is who a tyrant is. When last did Donald Trump send a bomb to a journalist who didn't like him? All he does is he calls out fake news. He doesn't kill anybody. So please grow up. If you want to know what tyrants really look like, go live in Gaza. Throw away your US passport and then try to be a Christian. If you're a woman, and I assume you might be a woman the way you write, try going out in Gaza in skimpy dressing and see how it works out for you. The next comment on the same video, you know, she must have been really hurt by me being a common sense individual. This video is proof that black people can be racist. She was so stirred that she couldn't type properly. Be racist against other black people. Proof that black people can be racist against other black people is seen in third world countries, when black people would rather give a job to somebody from a different tribe rather than the one who is qualified. It happens in Nigeria regularly. If you're from a certain tribe and you go to get a job, the person who is offering the job would rather give it to someone who isn't qualified but is from a different tribe. That's how you destroy a country. Okay, simply supporting a political party simply because you vote blue no matter who is the way to destroy a country. You vote for a tribe instead of competence. Donald Trump has run 500 businesses. He has grown a multi-billion-dollar empire. And then he decides to come and run the country the same way, and you guys don't like it. And you believe what the news media tells you. Give me a break. One video where he is not acting racist doesn't forgive hundreds of videos where he does act racist. Okay, so this YouTuber's logic is on par with the average 10-year-old. No, your response in your comment is on par with the average 10-year-old, because you claim that there are hundreds of videos where he does act racist. What I would do is I would get links to all those videos, send them to the person you're trying to educate. Let them see it. And do you know what the response would be when I send that as a response? Oh, the videos are everywhere on the internet. Yeah. So if they are so abundant, get the videos, send them to me, and I will look at them and I'll review them, and I'll come on air and say, oh, I repent. I once was blind, but now I see. Or better still, get in front of a camera and show us the hundreds of videos. She claims that there are hundreds of videos. You can make your career unmasking Donald Trump by showing every single time he has been racist on camera. All right, that's a challenge to you. And in fact, that might even be a great career path. It might be your coming out moment. So please go ahead and do that. Okay. So that is the most. I've covered some other comments. And I don't think I want to go further today. There are lots of other comments that I'd like to cover about. Okay, there was one comment that I saw yesterday. Sorry, let's see. I responded to that. So this comment here. They all had approval. Trump, the rapist, had no authority. Election deniers are stupid. Like, these are the kinds of comments you see online, and that's why I plead, please, those of you who are conservative watching this content, don't just sit back and say, oh, crazy comment, ha ha ha. No, I need you guys to get involved. Go into the comment section, go into the chat. Get involved, engage, chat, ask me questions, pushback. I want pushback. I want you guys to ask me questions that will make me think. I want to think. I want to reconsider my position carefully. And if I have a change of heart, I want to do it live on air. In fact, I'm thinking of titling one of the live streams, Democrats are stupid. Prove me wrong. that will be the biggest rage bait title ever. Okay, I'll have a lot of angry leftists jumping on the live stream and trolling, and I don't think I want that. I want the conversations here to be civil. I want us to have really civil conversations and not troll bait. All right, slavery helped build the White House. Why aren't the Democrats screaming racism? Surprised they aren't protesting to have it all torn down. They do love protest. Just proven the other day. So Cindy Simpson, thank you for that comment. I was wondering where you were going. So there was someone in the video that claimed that slavery helped build the White House. But she asked a very logical question. So why aren't the Democrats screaming that the White House is a racist symbol? That they should support Trump destroying it? If Trump is destroying the East Wing, they should be celebrating him because it is a racist symbol of what black people were forced to do as slaves, according to them. All right. Amazing take by Cindy Simpson. All right. So we went through this yesterday about the process followed to renovate any government building. Let's not go too far into it. I went through a bunch of videos today, and we've gone through this for over, we've been live streaming for almost 2 hours now. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for hanging out with me. Some of you have been watching this show while you're on the job. I appreciate the commitment. Help us by liking the video, sharing the video with your family and friends. Let more people know about the content here. But above all, please engage in the comment section or in the live chat if you're watching live. It helps us it helps to test the honesty of the show. I want this show to be honest. I want this show to be vulnerable. It's dangerous for someone like me, and when I say someone like me, I don't mean black, but I mean someone who's live streaming and trying to create content and trying to grow a channel to get owned on his own show. But I do want that to be a norm. I want someone to change my mind on something. Like my mind was changed yesterday on the issue about the East Wing being completely destroyed. I didn't think it was completely destroyed. I still haven't seen actual photos of the entire East Wing being destroyed. But the reports that we read yesterday while fact-checking did claim that it was destroyed. And I said, okay, fine, this says it, so fine, let's go with it. Let's not have hills that we must die on. Let us have civil conversations with each other so that we can heal as a community. We need to heal. We need to heal. We need to become civil once again. It's important. I know that this doesn't generate views. It doesn't generate clicks. I heard one time that being online and creating content is driven by outrage. It's an outrage economy. The channels that grow the fastest are the ones that can generate the most outrage. And so it becomes an outrage-driven economy where you continue to look for more outrageous content, and you constantly have to outdo the previous content that you created, and it becomes very toxic. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy where every time you watch my content, you hate somebody more than you already do, or you hate some group of people more than you already do. There was a saying that was circulating around the podcast that I usually listen to: you can't hate the mainstream media enough. And it sounds good, it sounds catchy, but I don't want to spend my time hating people or hating organizations or hating institutions. I want to spend my time figuring out how to heal things, how to heal from all of the decades-long wounds that's been going on. I want to spend time to figure out how to heal from racism. I have never said that racism does not exist, but I don't want to spend my days belly aching over racism that possibly has never happened to me. If racism happens to somebody else on the planet, it is a bad thing, and I'll call it out. However, why don't we spend more time healing from things like racism or abuse or discrimination? I mean, let's spend more time looking for ways to heal, not ways to hold on to our offense. It's a bad thing to hold on to offense. It's bad for your heart. It's bad for your mindset. It's bad for your kids. It's bad for your family. Nobody wants to hang around someone who is perpetually angry and bitter. No one. I don't. You don't. And honestly, if what I do on this channel is to constantly bellyache and complain about everything going on the left and just keep saying that, like, it appears that that's what I'm doing, and I really don't want that to be the case. I want to be able to discuss issues. And so when I watch this, I say, okay, is it true? Is there any truth to this? That's really the approach that I want to take, and I don't want to ever call anyone names or belittle anyone. All right. Call me out whenever I do. Call me out whenever I do. I want this brand to be a safe brand, and I'm not a snowflake. Okay, so I'm using these trigger words, but I want it to be a place where anyone can come in and push back and say, hey, I don't agree with this, and we can have a conversation. Canary King and I disagree. There was one, the biggest argument we've had. Okay, and if you don't know who Canary King is, he's one of the moderators on the channel. We had one epic disagreement live where he was chatting and I was responding. It was epic. And you know what? In the end, we agreed to disagree. And you know what? We're still cool. He still comes back every time whenever I go live. So it's not about creating an echo chamber. It's for us to have these conversations and to literally be able to reason our way through to something that is common sense, that is good for everyone, good for the planet, good for the people, good for anyone who lives within our communities. If anything destructive is celebrated, we need to call it out. If there's anything good going on, we need to celebrate it. That's basically the policy I have. And that is why I need your support. Because outrage wins. Outrage wins. Channels with lots of profanity, women with boobs hanging out, people that look for outrage content and that simply fight with everyone that breathes is something that I don't want to be identified with us. All right, welcome to the channel. I hope you subscribe. I used to believe that the mainstream media would eventually become more honest if their dishonesty was exposed time and time again, but that has not happened. Yeah, after the elections, I thought that the mainstream media would self-correct and that my channel would become irrelevant. I honestly thought that. Trump won. They were proven to be liars. They would have a good conscience and they would go away and do the right thing and just not bother us anymore. I was wrong. They doubled down. And eventually I began to see that it was all a grift. It's all business. It's all business. They have an audience that they cater to. And that's what I just got through talking about, because if as a channel I pander to people who are always outraged, I will always be surrounded by people who want more outrage, and I'm locked into providing more outrage to this crowd. That's what the mainstream media has become. They've pandered to a certain group of people who hate this person, hate that person, hate that group, and they can't break out of that cycle, because the moment they break out of that cycle and begin to speak common sense, they fear that they are going to lose this crowd that they've gathered over the last 15 years. They've been farming this crowd for 15 years. The crowd gave them ratings for 15 years, and suddenly they are faced with a conundrum. All of these policies that they've pushed for 15 years have been proven to not work. What do we do now? And then suddenly the issue is now, okay, I guess we have to double down. And they double down because it serves their audience. I honestly believe that some of these people behind the camera, and that's why I call the people at TDSBC actors, because I can't believe that they believe these things that they say on camera. I can't believe it, because if I do believe it, there's nothing short of evil at play at that point. So I feel like they're actors. They're reading a teleprompter, and that's why. The mainstream media is reporting on truths that can get someone killed, and they keep pushing it. Yeah. We called it out again and again. Many people kept saying, look, you guys can't continue. You can't continue to say this. People are getting threatened. Influencers were getting doxxed. And do you know what? They kept pushing the same lies. They kept pushing the same lies. Will they be held accountable? I heard that there's a policy that Obama put in place, the SMOT something policy that prevents you from suing a news outlet, and it has to be repealed or revoked. So hopefully, if that happens, then news outlets will be more careful when they say things like that. There is no way they believe it. They know they are lying. Yeah, and that's why I call them actors, because how can you say these things with a straight face to millions of people? I have a problem telling a white lie to someone close to me. You know, news outlets can be sued. I heard that hold on. No, they can be sued. They can be sued. Trump just proved that they can be sued. But there's okay, I don't want to start trying to do the search. Yeah. Trump won after they changed Kamala's answers. Yes, they can be sued. But there's something that they have in place. I have to maybe tomorrow I'll kind of go search for the content, and then I'll have it ready and talk about it tomorrow. So I keep hearing about it, and how that is when the floodgates of misinformation opened up. So maybe they can spread things that are generic, but they affect a certain voting bloc or a certain group that believes something or follows people who are significant opposition to the left, and they can't be sued for stuff like that, I guess. But I have to figure out what that is. I am loving the chat. I have a work meeting in 5 minutes, but I will be back. Okay. Okay. So I have to go pick up my toddler from daycare. So I'm ending the live stream, but I hope you can join us tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern. All right. So home in MT, please subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Are you subscribed? Let me know if you're subscribed. And then tomorrow we will return. We can pick up on this conversation tomorrow if you want, because I want to zero in on this and actually kind of engage. Thank you so much for the live chat. It was refreshing talking with you. I hope I haven't lost you completely. I hope you would subscribe. I hope you would stick around. I love having conversations like this with people who are fair-minded and who want to have a real conversation. So I have to go. It's usually towards the tail end of these shows that things begin to pick up, and they state opinions as fact, and uninformed viewers believe them. I just subscribed. Thank you so much for subscribing. I do appreciate it. So let's pick up on this conversation tomorrow. Everyone who's watching, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing the video. Support the channel by donating, using a super chat, super thank, joining the membership. Please consider supporting us that way. It helps us keep the lights on. It helps to improve the quality of the channel. And possibly we can go longer on our live streams and have a better engagement. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I love you guys so much, and believe it from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys so much. Thank you for engaging and being so civil. I appreciate you all. You're proof positive that the world hasn't gone insane completely. And I would love to have this continue going forward. God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow.